So here at Superbooth 2018, with Danjel from Intellijel. How's it going?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. So we've some updates, some new versions of existing modules or older modules, some totally new stuff. I guess what's going on in the case?
So at NAMM, just after Christmas, we introduced the Planar 2, and that was our first prototype, and now we have the production-ready version. For those of you not familiar with it, this is a joystick that you can record your movements with, play them back, and it generates CV, and it can also morph audio that you are processing through the 4 inputs. We've added a new mode on this final version that we're calling scrub mode, and so if I change the mode to scrub here, the sequence will actually, if I remove this, stop playing. What happens is if I record some weird squiggle, I can now navigate my way through the recording using CV. So
it's like scrubbing through audio in a granular sampler.
Exactly the same. In this case, I'm using the Quadra envelope, and it just has a slow rise, which means it'll go forward through the sound. So I'm going to turn on the, this is modulating the pitch of the Rubicon. So if I turn the attack down, it sounds like crazy because it's super fast, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going to go slower and slower through it. And now if I put decay, it's going to go backwards. It'll go forwards and then backwards. And now it's only going backwards. The other CV input can be used to modulate the excursion range, so the amplitude of it.
Okay.
If you have a slow LVO and you have some weird stuff like this, then in combination you get these weird, like really, so I'm going to do a different pattern now.
You could also use an envelope that's not looping for a kind of gestural triggered source, because you could just trigger the envelope. Would this then be static if the envelope wasn't moving?
Well, right now this envelope's being triggered by the sequencer, so it's happening at a rhythmic rate. And so you could, I mean, if we have this really short.
What happens, I guess, if you trigger the envelope once and then there's no more triggers to the envelope? Will the planar halt effectively because there's no voltage?
It's the same as doing that. So now it's just, or if I had like quadrat or triad and just stop the voltage somewhere, it's like a sample and hold. It's just staying at that point.
So you could have a really complex gestural shape on the joystick that just happens once and then holds and trigger it from wherever.
So this is, we're in a fader mode right now, so I can scrub through it manually.
The Rubicon itself that we've been modulating has some new features as well for version 2.
This is the same as that we showed before, but now it's out. It started shipping this week, so that'll be hitting stores very soon. But in terms of new stuff, we've got, I don't know if you're familiar with VPME, who made the
Euclidean circles, yeah.
He surprised us and just dropped this off yesterday morning. He said it took him half a day to put together. It's adapted from his 3U. And this has a 2-channel scope and a tuner. So I could go up here and pick frequency or like actual pitch. So let's put a waveform in here. And it will try and figure out what it is. So that's a F6 sharp, and then I can adjust my source to get the tuning. So pretty handy for the space. There I can see the exact frequency. And then there's a few other modes on this, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed with how small it is, and we should be able to work something out with him and put this out this summer. Then further along here, we've got an earlier prototype of our 1U step sequencer. In this current form, it's 32 steps by 4 tracks, but the final version will have these buttons that you see down here. These are new custom buttons we made. They'll be multicolor, and it'll have 2 rows of 8, so you'll get 64 steps by 4 tracks. It has a bunch of like useful features like you would expect on a step sequencer, like individual clock dividers, swing per track, individual lengths. You just set the length by holding down where you want it to be. And then there's some special performance modes so that you can loop between points in real time, stutter things. And so that'll be out in the early summer. And then beside that, we have this thing called, we're calling the Octal Link. It's 8 I/O points, and you can connect them to a reciprocal one with a shielded Ethernet cable. And this is the pins are compatible with the Doper A180-9, which is his 3U similar thing for linking between systems.
So you could link a case that doesn't have the 1U row and then just use the same format.
It's a simple utility, but it's one that turns out to be super handy.
So turning up with two cases to perform, you're not having to patch between them.
That's it.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. So even if it's your own system and you've got them stacked, it just means you don't have to have as many cables between them. So you could. It's ideally for gates and clock and stuff, but you could put audio too. Yeah.
So roughly when can we expect the Planar to?
It's ready for production, so I would say 6 to 8 weeks. We should be hitting the stores by then.
Is a sequencer later in the year?
No, way earlier. Like probably early summer. Right. Yeah, like July maybe I would say. So that's it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.